Welcome to SriMaataEducation YouTube channel and welcome to another online class on English literature for English for AP lecturers, assistant professor, UGC NET and SET exams. So in this particular video, we are going to discuss a very important topic. This may not, this is not a direct topic that is prescribed in the syllabus, but this is going to be a very important topic because in-depth level questions are expected in the exams, in the recruitment exams. So you understanding the detailed character analysis and shifting personas in T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland is very important because you can expect questions from this. So it is all about understanding the concept in a deeper level. So in this particular video, the major focus is on T.S. Eliot's Wasteland, character analysis, basically character analysis and shifting personas. Everything we are explaining, we already took a detailed class on T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland where we explained the entire concept. You can refer to that video first and then you can come back to this video so that you will understand it better. You can find that video in the courses section of our YouTube channel. Now let's start with the class on T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland, character analysis and shifting personas. So now, primarily, let's discuss what are the important characters and what kind of framework the T.S. Eliot followed in the Wasteland. So all the characters in the T.S. Eliot's Wasteland, they are not like traditional characters. For example, the figures in the Wasteland, they operate as psychological fragments of a fractured post-war civilization. So all the characters in the T.S. Eliot's Wasteland are nothing but they are psychological fragments. They are not traditional characters. They are psychological fragments who got fractured because of post-war civilization and then shifting kaleidoscope voices rather than stable narrative entities. So these are not stable narrative entities. They are psychological fragments who are the victims of post-war civilization, and these are not traditional characters. And in Eliot's own note, so Eliot, according to Eliot, he explicitly identified Tiresias as the single most important character, the central consciousness through whom all other characters see, speak, and ultimately met. So Tiresias is the main character in the T.S. Eliot's Wasteland. Through that character, all other characters see, speak, and ultimately met. So what Tiresias sees is the substance of the whole poem. So whatever Tiresias witnesses, whatever he sees in the poem, that forms the substance of the entire poem, the Wasteland. So these are like mythological archetypes, the ancient figures and ritual patterns beneath text. And then modern personas, shifting post-war voices and fragmented selves, and central consciousness. Tiresias as observing, unifying voice. So Tiresias' voice you can see throughout the poem. That character becomes source for other characters in the poem. So you need to understand this layered structure. It's very important part of the poem. So the characters are more mythological archetypes. They are modern personas, and there is central consciousness throughout the poem through the character, Tiresias' character. Now let's discuss other details. Uh, Now let's get into the other details. Tiresias is the central character of the poem. So the character was sourced from Ovid's Metamorphoses. So the character Tiresias in the T.S. Eliot's Wasteland, it was sourced from Ovid's Metamorphoses. Tiresias was transformed into a woman. Very important. Tiresias' influence was from Ovid's Metamorphoses, and the character Tiresias was transformed into a woman for 7 years and later blinded by Juno and later granted prophecy by Jupiter. So this is the sequence. Tiresias' character transformed into woman for 7 years, and later the character was blinded by Juno, and later the character was granted prophecy by Jupiter. So in the poem, Tiresias' character is old, blind, and explicitly androgynous. Androgynous means dropping between two lives. The character Tyrosis always drops between two lives. The character is blind and old also. But the Tiresias character was the ultimate observer. So having lived as both man and woman. So Tiresias was both man and woman, and he witnessed vast cause. He has suffered all enacted on the modern stage. So all the suffering. So he was the ultimate observer. The character Tiresias was the ultimate observer because the character suffered and witnessed everything, and then tragic passivity. So The Tiresias lacks agency to intervene in the decay of the modern world. He can only witness, suffer, and endure. So the character Tiresias, he can't intervene in the decay of the modern world, but the Tiresias, through this character, that character can only witness, suffer, and endure, but can't interfere in the decay of the modern world. And the middling agent, every other persona like male, female, ancient, or modern, ultimately resolves back into the single consciousness. So every character in the poem resolves back into this single consciousness. Every other persona like male, female, ancient, or modern, everything resolves back to the single consciousness only. So that's the very important part of the poem. So Tiresias character, the five sermons, section 3, is very important part of the poem. Now let's discuss other details. The typist and carbuncular clerk. So the typist and carbuncular clerk. So this also appears in section 3, the fireman. So the character sketch of the typist. The typist is a working class modern woman. So the typist in the poem, the wasteland. So the typist is basically a working class modern woman returning home at tea time, and she was surrounded by drying stockings and cheap tinned food. So she was returning home. The character was returning home and she was surrounded by drying stockings and cheap tinned food. And the clerk, on the other hand, the clerk is a very low level employee with vulgar arrogance. One of the low on whom assurance sits as a sick hat on Badford millionaire. As a silk hat on a Badford millionaire. So the clerk character is more vulgar and arrogant, very arrogant character. So two contrasting characters, the typist character and the clerk character are two contrasting characters, whereas the clerk character is more vulgar and arrogant. The typist character is a working class modern woman. And the significance, what are the significance of these two characters? So the sexual encounter between the typist and the clerk is entirely devoid of romance or spiritual communion. The encounter is purely mechanical because the typist is a modern working class woman, and the encounter between the typist and the clerk character is purely mechanical, and it was driven by vanity and indifference. So upon his departure, the typist feels only vague relief, automatically placing a record on the gramophone. It's a devastating contrast to the grand tragic love affairs of classical literature. So this is the significance of the character of the typist and the clerk. And then there are other characters, Madame Sosostris, and the neurotic woman. So Madame Sosostris, so it appears in the section 1, the burial of the dead, a degraded moral oracle with a wicked pack of cards and a mundane winter cold. So the burial of dead, the backdrop is, it's a degraded moral oracle with a wicked pack of cards and a mundane winter cold, and she commercializes prophecy for profit. So the character Madam Sosostris, she is more commercial, and she is a tarot reader basically. She is a commercial person who commercializes prophecy for profit. At her tarot reading, ironically introduced the poem's central motifs: the drowned Phoenician sailor, belladonna, and one-eyed merchant. Madam Sosostris is a tarot reader in the poem who commercializes prophecy for profit, but her character, like her tarot reading, it introduces poem central motifs. The motifs are the drowned Phoenician sailor, belladonna, and the one-eyed merchant. And the wealthy neurotic woman, it appears in the game of chess, the section 2. So the wealthy neurotic woman, she was an elite woman ensconced in suffocating opulence, marbles, satin, synthetic perfumes, and she was always plagued by hysteria. She demands, "What shall I do now? What shall we ever do?" Her life is a sterile game of chess marked by absolute failure of human communication. So the character, the neurotic woman, she was marked by the absolute failure of human communication, because she doesn't have any clarity. What shall I do now? What shall we ever do? Because she was always plagued by hysteria, and she was like more suffocating opulence like marble, satin, synthesis, perfumes. She was an elite woman, but she doesn't have any clarity on what needs to be done, and her life is a sterile game of chess. And then we have other characters, Lil and Albert, the working class dialogue. So the characters get, so Lil character is a 31-year-old woman who appears prematurely aged, exhausted, and toothless, the result of taking pills to induce a self-administered abortion. So the character Lil is a 31-year-old woman in the poem, but she appears more aged. She appears more aged, exhausted, and toothless because she takes pills as a part of self-administered abortion. And Albert is her husband. So Albert is Lil's husband. He was newly discharged from the Great War with money in his pocket, demanding marital sex and domestic comfort. So his character was the one who demands domestic comfort, basically. So Lil character is prematurely aged, and she takes pills for self-administered abortion, whereas Albert is Lil's husband, who was just out from the Great War, and he he demands domestic comfort. Significance of these characters are Lil and Albert. These both characters, they illustrate the harsh, unromanticized reality of working class domestic life, and their marriage is actually defined by psychological decay, poverty, reproductive trauma, and mutual greed, providing that emotional and spiritual sterility spans all social stratifications. Now we have other archetypes, mythological and historical archetypes. So the Fisher King. So these figures are the historical echoes. These all these four characters are historical echoes, contrasting the mythic grandeur of the past with fragmented, trivialized present. So the Fisher King. So from Arthurian Grail legend. So from Arthurian Grail legend, a wounded monarch. The Fisher King was a wounded monarch whose physical impotence causes his entire kingdom to wither. So the Fisher King, he was a monarch, but he was an important ruler. Because of that, his entire kingdom cripples. His longing for regeneration mirrors the modern world's desperate need for cultural and spiritual revival. And then we have another character, Phlebas the Phoenician. So this Phlebas character appears in the section 4, Death by Water. This drowned merchant sailor is stripped of worldly concerns by ocean currents. So he was a drowned merchant sailor. He is always stripped of worldly concerns by ocean currents. A stark memento mori, reminding the reader of their own mortality. And then we have the one-eyed merchant, Mr. Eugenides. Eugenides is a Smyrna merchant carrying currents, a degraded remnant of the ancient fertility cult trade routes. So he was a Smyrna merchant. He was a Smyrna merchant carrying currents. He was a degraded remnant of ancient fertility cult trade routes, who invites the speaker to clandestine, non-generative rendezvous at the Metrope Hotel. And then we have another character, Philomela. So Philomela character was derived from Ovid's Metamorphosis, a princess raped and transformed into a nightingale. So Philomena is a princess. She was raped and later transformed into a nightingale. In the modern wasteland, her mortality cry is vulgarized into jug jug to dirty ears, ancient suffering cheapened and ignored. So these are other four important characters that have mythological and historical archetypes. And then archetypes at a glance, the Fisher King, Arthurian Grail legend, or the Western, the origin and source. The source and origin of the Fisher King was Arthurian Grail legend or the Western, and the core symbolic significance. He was the wounded king whose creates a barren wasteland. He was the symbol of the need for spiritual regeneration. And then we have Phlebas the Phoenician, origin and source, Eliot or Danceler restaurant. He was a drowned sailor, stripped of worldly concerns, memento mori for the reader. And then we have Mr. Eugenides, the modern mythic synthesis, degraded remnant of ancient fertility trade, non-generative clandestine encounter. And then we have Philomela, Ovid Metamorphosis was the source, and ancient suffering vulgarized and ignored in the modern world. The spiritual sterility across all classes in the T.S. Eliot's Wasteland. The most powerful argument is that the wasteland condition is not confined to any single social strata. It permeates every level of post-war society. So the upper class symbolizes opulence, hysteria, existential boredom, and the working class signifies poverty, reproductive trauma, and mutual dread. And the professional class symbolizes mechanical sex, indifference, emotional vacancy. So from the jeweled border to the cockney pub, Eliot demonstrates the emotional and spiritual emptiness in the defining condition of the post-World War I civilization. It's not a symptom of poverty or privilege alone. And the critical summary, the fragments of fractured world, kaleidoscope chorus. So Eliot employs shifting, overlapping voices to illustrate a post-war world where individual identity has totally broken down, and then the ruins and echoes. What remains are only the ruins and echoes of Western civilization, mythic grandeur reduced to mechanical, sterile modernity, and then Tiresias as unifier. All voices in the wasteland ultimately resolve back into Tiresias, the single consciousness who has suffered all and witnesses without the power to reading. So that's all about T.S. Eliot's Wasteland character sketch and shifting personas. If you have further queries on this, you can ask in the comment section. You can like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we'll be coming up with more and more online classes for English literature. Thank you.